a mix of fresh sugar and sweet decay, like the smell of his own toil across all the summers of his youth. For a long, trembling moment, he simply stood there in the shadows, watching the shapes of the loaders move back and forth from the crates to the cars and back again. "Christ, I want to get home," one of the soldiers mumbled from inside the car. "Christ, I just want to get home." The dust around his feet, the scent upon the air. Frank Marston's shape must have appeared as a black spectre stepping through from one world to the next. "Welcome home, soldier," he said. "Thanks, Mr. Marston." And now Frank Marston pulled up short. For a time he could only stare goggle-eyed at the uniform before him, the recognition dawning on him slowly, so that his dull eyes, shadowed now by the train car itself, began to spark, even as the great engine coughed and clanked in its rumbling idle. "Well, hell, it's Tak's boy," he said at last. He paused and then added the name as it came to his mind. "Ray! Didn't recognize you in that uniform." Already stepping forward, his mouth curling in an idiot's broad grin, hand outstretched. Ray took it in his own, and when they were done, Marston stepped back and looked him up and down, nodding. "I think I read that they let some of you sign up," he said. "Some of who?" This voice from the train car, one of the soldiers staring from the window at the two men below, eyes half closed as if only partially bothering to wake. Marston looked up and then back to Ray and then up to the window again. You know," he said, "I just meant, well, hell, this boy's Pop and I go way back, don't we?" Sure, Mr. Marston," Ray said. He waved a hand at the window. The soldier there shrugged but did not return to his seat, instead continuing to peer down at the two men, his jaw working a stale lump of chewing gum all the while. Frank Marston had begun nodding, and now it seemed as if he could not stop. "Well, hell, Ray," he said at last, glancing down at him, and then at the window, and then at Ray once more. "I'm glad to see you back, safe and sound." "It's good to be home," he said simply. They stood together, the two men, for a beat and then another, Ray staring at Marston, and the man at first returning his unwavering gaze, and then dropping his eyes to the dust itself. "I'll be off then," Ray said. "You're not," Marston began, cutting off his own sentence and then starting again. "I mean," and then cutting off that second attempt, just as the floor lady called his name from somewhere inside the sheds. "Frank! Where's Frank?" And Marston turned toward that sound, just for the briefest moment. When he turned back to Ray Takahashi, it was to find the soldier walking without haste down the dusty street, his head slowly rotating from one side to the other, as if taking in the scene before him. The dirt and gravel clearing that acted as the town's main square, its surface flanked by the long, low metal-roofed fruit sheds, and opposite them, the small collection of structures that made up the town, clean, box-like homes, and occasional older Victorians. Among them grew oaks and the gray twisted shapes of digger pines, and here and there an otherwise out-of-place palm, planted in some lost time to denote a status long forgotten. As if the whole topography from the air, each ripple of the land distinct and clear and named and owned and perfect, a geography that knit us together in ways we did not even understand until the war was over. In the draw, the little ramshackle Japan town huddled in the shade of the cottonwoods, above which rose the slope of the Tokutomi's orchard upon the flanks of Chantry Hill. To the southwest, the ridges ran in descending waves toward the Buddhist church at Penryn and the Methodist church at Loomis, towns no larger than Newcastle itself, and yet focal because of the Sunday gatherings where they would dress in their finery, and which they looked forward to, not because of the service, but because it allowed them each a chance to see their Sunday friends, especially the children, sharing the curious experience of growing up in America and Japan simultaneously, this push and pull the tide of their lives. It was all still here,